Welcome back to Rick Reviews Video Games, where I, Rick, review video games. Up today is my review of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's just jump right in. As always, there will be some light spoilers. I think it's important to give you a little background on me and the Assassin's Creed series. It's one of my favorite. I actually played their precursor series, the Prince of Persia games, and so when the AC series released, I was immediately drawn in. I've played every main series game, and I even watched that dumb movie. So yeah, a fan. My quick rankings of the games are, the best is number 2, then Brotherhood, Origins, Odyssey, kind of all the other ones, and then in last place, by a long way, is Syndicate. That one just sucked. I know there are a lot of people out there that don't like the current day stuff, or don't get into the Isu storylines, but that isn't me. I love it all. That means I will get every AC game because I'm invested. Look, enough about me, let's talk Valhalla. Valhalla takes place in the 9th century England during the tumultuous period where the Danes were emigrating and/or invading. There are many factions vying for land and power. They include the Danes, the Anglo-Saxons, the Britons, the Picts, and more. In the past, you take on the role of Ivor, a young Norseman or woman, depending on your early selection, who was orphaned, then adopted by a powerful Jarl. You grow up with your older adopted brother, Sigurd, and the two of you long for adventure and glory. The real story kicks in once you set off for England with Sigurd to make your new home, seek new allies, and new conquests. In terms of gameplay, it all feels very familiar, but let's sidetrack into the weeds for a moment. Assassin's Creed games all had a similar free-running controls. That is until Unity. Unity evolved on the controls and made free-running much more natural. It was a great evolution, but the games went back to the older style for Syndicate. This was the era where Ubisoft was pumping out AC games yearly, and so they were actually using different studios for different games. But then Ubisoft took a little break, and when they released Origins, they went back to the control scheme of Unity, but they also made a few welcome improvements. Odyssey followed up by making a few adjustments to the controls, so it felt like they really had a rhythm going, and we should know what to expect. But for some reason, Valhalla feels like the original free running system. By that I mean the controls were loose, climbing became harder, you would stall on your ascension, you'd make odd jumps to the side while moving forward, sometimes you'd run up walls that you didn't intend to, or you'd jump off pillars instead of jumping to higher levels. What I'm saying is, Valhalla feels like a regression, and over the long playthrough, it was an incredible source of frustration. Let's not spend more time on this, it's a nuanced take, and more or less this is another Assassin's Creed game. You get it. I'm not exactly sure how to present all my thoughts on Valhalla, and in my 35 years of gaming, I don't know that I've ever had my feelings change so much while playing a game. I guess let's just start at the beginning. When I first started Valhalla, it was amazing. I was instantly hooked. Sure, it had some issues, but the story was engaging, the gameplay, while a little janky, was fun, and I wanted to keep playing. As an aside, I love that feeling when a game draws you in like that. For some reason, I always think that feeling's never going to return, and when it happens again, I just get filled with wonder. I love it. So yeah, anyway, I was having a blast. I was raiding, exploring, sacking towns, being a motherfucking Viking. And Valhalla also offers a ton of new lore to the overarching story. You learn a lot more about the Isu, their last days, and there's some great references to past characters. But, and this is a huge but, this game is long. And when games are long, the repetitive nature comes to the forefront. And the minor irritants become sore spots. And the bugs add up. Just to put this out there, because it'll become important to something I'm going to say later, I played on the Series X. The patch version I finished playing was 2.0.4.214. So yeah, the bugs. By God are there bugs. Just to name a few, I saw people clip through each other. I got stuck standing on a horse. I got stuck between a house and a wall. I got stuck on a ladder. I got stuck on a roof. Cutscenes didn't trigger. Events didn't trigger. Missions didn't trigger. Lips didn't move. Dialogue was repeated. Dialogue of every character in a scene happened at once. People disappeared while walking. I lost the ability to run. My horse lost the ability to run. And I got shot through the center of the earth. More than once. None of that is to mention the sudden game-ending crashes that occur every once in a while. To say it bluntly, this game's a f***ing mess. Here's a doozy for you. There are these artifact points on your map that are cursed objects. When you get near, your vision becomes dark, your pace slows, and you become clumsy. Who thought it would be fun to make a video game where you can't see and can't move? I could complain about things like this for a really long time. But the real problem here is that there appeared to be a wholesale lack of editing. They didn't edit the game mechanics, they didn't edit the length, they didn't edit the story, and this is where the biggest disappointment lies. You can easily patch a game to edit its game mechanics after release, but you can't do the same with the story. There's some really bad storytelling here, and the problem is that there are these great kernels, but the execution is so poor. I don't want to spoil too many things in case you're like me and a total sucker for these games, and will play regardless of this score, but I do need to present a prime example. You're summoned to help this clan leader with his problems. He thinks his general's a traitor, and he wants you to investigate. It seems like he might be paranoid, but you're here to help, so you begin an investigation. During this quest, there's a clue that maybe somebody else is poisoning him, so now the suspect pool opens up. This is a pretty great setup. This could play out in a unique Macbethian palace intrigue scenario where you have to figure out if there is a traitor or if the leader is paranoid, all while trying to balance how to do right by the commoners of this area or how to use these circumstances to the benefit of you and your clan. But it doesn't. In the end, the extra suspect is discarded with a single line of dialogue, there isn't any weight to any of your decisions, and you just choose to fight somebody or not. Similarly, at another point in the game, you're to choose who leads this other clan. It's between this young, impressionable noble and an older, shrewd landowner. There are these hints that the older guy may not answer your call in a time of need, and if Ubisoft leaned into this story, it could have played out where you have to choose between what's best for the people of this area versus what's best for your clan as an alliance. Making strategic decisions that could have impacts on the story is what makes games like Mass Effect stick out and become so celebrated. But Ubisoft never fails to pull the punch and make all of your game decisions feel academic. The consequences of your actions never really catch up to you. That's disappointing, because you can see these seeds of great stories hinted at, but then nothing comes of it. There are plenty of examples to discuss, and if this video gets any traction, maybe I'll put out this spoilery video discussing all the story balls dropped here. But I don't want to just crap on this game, because there's some really great stuff in there too. The scenery was gorgeous. I mean, some of the visuals in this game, they're just jaw-dropping. And the score is amazing. There's this little string number that occurs every so often, and it was simply magical. I played as the male Ivor because I heard he did a better job acting, and only later did I learn that the woman was canon. By the way, Ubisoft, if you want to have a woman as your main character, then just have a woman as your main character. This is 2 times in a row. People can play as a woman. It's fine. Really. But anyway, I played as the man, and the acting was superb. The story, while clumsily told, is interesting, the characters are engaging, and you become invested quickly. There's some really great twists in there, maybe overly foreshadowed, but it still keeps you invested. Okay, so now I have to put a score to it. Here's the thing. 45 hours into this game I was thinking it was a solid 8 with a good patch. At 90 hours I was thinking this game would be a 7 if it wasn't so bloated. When I finished, at 110 hours, I settled on a solid 6. But I can imagine in a year or so, when Valhalla is fully patched, it could very well end up being an 8, or at least close to an 8. But you have to score the game as played, and spending over 100 hours with a game that has to be reset every 2 hours is grueling. Unfortunately, that means that Valhalla, as delivered, is a 6. This is why Valhalla is such a weird review. I only like to play good games. I stay away from the bad, and even the mediocre. But Valhalla fooled me into completing a mediocre game. Now I'm going to give you the value added. If you love the Assassin's Creed franchise, or if you don't want to play Cyberpunk, Phoenix, Call of the Sea, or any other new game, then find something else to do. At least until this game goes on sale and they've patched it up, because right now, it's broken. But after they've done that, give Valhalla a go. It will get better, and there's some great stuff in there that should be experienced. But do yourself a favor and skip the world events. Almost all of them are pointless, and you get more than enough experience points to finish the game at full level. Hey, thanks for joining me today. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up below. Let me know if you've played Valhalla in the comments and what you thought. Have a great week. We'll catch you next time. Bye.